Picture this. You're a Bangladeshi expat living in the US. You've just gone through the whole emotionally draining process of a divorce. You navigated the American court system, it's finally over, and you're holding that official decree right in your hands. You're probably breathing a huge sigh of relief, right? You're ready to start a fresh chapter, totally believing you are legally free. But, well, what if I told you that halfway across the world, a hidden legal trap might actually still consider you completely married? Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating, high-stakes narrative, this incredibly complex cross-border maze of family law that literally catches countless expats completely off guard. To really understand how this happens, we need to put ourselves right in the shoes of our protagonist here, the expatriate. Say you live in New York or maybe Los Angeles. You file for divorce locally, the gavel drops, it's done. So you've got to ask yourself, if I get a divorce in an American court, am I still legally married in Bangladesh? I mean, it seems like it should be a simple yes or no question, right? But as you'll see, in the world of international family law, making assumptions can be incredibly dangerous. Okay, let's dive into this stark contrast. Over in the US jurisdiction, if you meet the state residency requirements, a judge grants you a divorce decree. Boom. Simple as that, your marriage is legally over. But, and this is a massive but, under Bangladeshi status, a standard U.S. divorce decree is not automatically recognized. Not at all. If you're relying solely on that American piece of paper, well, under local Bangladeshi law, you are absolutely still legally married. Now, you might be thinking, well, I'll just mail my U.S. court document over to Dhaka and have them update the records. Easy, right? Unfortunately, no. Trying to bypass the standard local procedures leads you straight into a total legal nightmare. Basically, to make a foreign U.S. judgment valid over there, you'd have to file a formal suit under Section 13 of the Civil Procedure Code in a Bangladeshi family court. And listen, this isn't just some quick form you fill out online. It's a lengthy, highly complex, and frankly expensive legal battle just to get your foreign judgment recognized. It's a path literally filled with endless delays. So, the crucial point is, how do you bypass this trap entirely? Well, the safest, fastest, and definitely the most cost-effective method, basically your ultimate tool for this journey, is the Special Power of Attorney, or POA. This amazing legal tool allows you to navigate the Muslim Family Laws Ordinance of 1961 from thousands of miles away. You literally don't even have to step foot on an airplane. By authorizing a trusted relative or a lawyer back in Bangladesh to handle the on-the-ground procedures for you, you can basically orchestrate this entire process across borders. Now, what's really interesting about this is that you can think of the whole process like a giant cross-continental relay race. First up, you draft a written Talaq Notice, which states your clear intention to divorce, along with that special power of attorney. Step 2, you actually take these documents to your nearest Bangladesh embassy or consulate, maybe in Washington, D.C., and you sign them directly in front of a consular officer to get them officially attested. Then, step 3, you pass the baton. You courier those attested documents all the way to Bangladesh, where your authorized representative has to take them to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Dhaka to pay local stamp duties and get final verification. Okay, so now the second half of our relay race kicks off, and this happens entirely on Bangladeshi soil. Your trusted representative totally takes the lead here. For step 4, they officially serve that written Talaq Notice simultaneously to the wife and to the local chairman or mayor of where she lives. Step 5 then triggers a mandatory arbitration council, which is set up by the chairman for a reconciliation meeting. Now, because you're thousands of miles away, your representative actually attends this for you. And finally, step 6, if that reconciliation fails, your rep registers the divorce with a certified qazi and grabs that all-important final divorce certificate. And this brilliantly illustrates the strict ticking clock that governs the whole thing. It is definitely not instantaneous. Once that notice is served, a very specific timeline kicks in under the law. Day 1, that's the exact moment the local chairman receives the notice. By day 30, the arbitration council absolutely must convene for that attempted reconciliation meeting. But the magic number here is day 90. Exactly 90 days from the date the chairman got the notice, if there's no compromise, the divorce automatically becomes legally effective. However, every legal journey has its caveats, right? And this one is biologically absolute. Actually, scratch that. It's a completely hard stop to the timeline. There's a major exception to that 90-day ticking clock. If the wife happens to be pregnant at the time the notice is served, the whole timeline just pauses. The divorce absolutely does not become legally effective until after the delivery. It's a vital detail that completely overrides the standard 90-day waiting period, so it's something you definitely have to factor into any cross-border planning. Let's move to and see how this builds, because the ticking clock isn't your only hurdle. You've also got to face the financial realities of this journey because, look, Just living in the US doesn't magically erase your obligations in Bangladesh. The first big one is din mahar, or dower money. Under Bangladeshi law, the husband is completely legally bound to pay the full remaining amount of both the prompt and deferred dower that was originally agreed upon in the marriage contract, the kabanama. Simply initiating the divorce from abroad, yeah, that doesn't offer an escape hatch from this financial duty. And alongside the den mahar, there's actually a second major financial liability running right parallel to our ticking clock. It's called the iddat period. Basically, the law mandates that the husband has to pay for the wife's maintenance and living expenses throughout that entire 90-day waiting period we just talked about. So while you're sitting in your home in the US waiting for the legal clock to run out in Bangladesh, your financial responsibilities are still very much active. Now, if you're suddenly tempted to just ignore all of this and rely strictly on your U.S. court decree, please beware. Skipping the chairman notice procedure isn't just some minor bureaucratic oversight. It carries some really severe consequences. In fact, failing to send that formal written notice is considered a punishable offense under Section 7 of the Muslim Family Laws Ordinance of 1961. We are talking about real criminal liability here, and that is exactly why this process absolutely cannot be ignored. But hey, if you follow the correct path, there is a really satisfying resolution to this story. That special power of attorney route isn't just about jumping through a bunch of bureaucratic hoops. It literally acts as your legal shield. By taking the time to navigate the embassy attestation, empowering a local representative, and respecting both the 90-day timeline and those financial duties, you completely protect yourself from criminal liability. And even more importantly, you secure a final, legally binding divorce certificate. That means your marital status is definitively, unquestionably resolved across both borders. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. We've traced this entire journey, right? From the false security of a state court decree, through that wild logistical relay race of embassies and foreign ministries, all the way to securing actual, true legal closure. So I want to leave you with this final thought to really reflect on. You may hold a piece of paper from an American court, but have you truly finished the journey to legally free yourself in Bangladesh? Because, as we've learned, knowing the steps is the only way out of the maze. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. And as always, keep learning.